What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Crypto Secret X Place. We talk about crypto, and today we're going to be talking about the market. This is some of the things we asked for. This is some of the things we actually wanted. So now that we got it, what's the problem with the market? Why can't we handle it? Why are we going through all of this panic when we knew this was a part of it? But before we get started, you know what we got to do. Go ahead and let's cue that intro. What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Crypto Secret X Place. We do talk about crypto. And before we go any further, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. That helps the channel. That helps the algorithm grow. And I want to thank you for joining me here this morning as we look at the market. And of course, as we look at the market, we know things do not look as good as we want them to. We want them to look. And we got to understand this, that, people kind of worried, are we technically, if you go by what they say a bear market is, we're basically in a bear market. But the thing about it, we got to also remember and understand that if you bought during the last bear market, you were still up significantly. And here's the thing, even though it may not be what we really want, and the sentiments are we wish we would have pulled that one is at 105, over 100,000. People wondering if it's going to go back. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. There's a lot of uncertainty with the tariffs. Inflation's high, interest rates up. So it's a lot of panic in the market, a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. But there are also some things, if you kind of pay attention to it, amongst all the panic, amongst all the chaos, there are some things that we are missing. And I'll just kind of illustrate that to you as I was just looking at and doing some studying yesterday, and just kind of going through past bear markets, and not only that, just going through what's being said. And I don't even know if people are really clearly listening to what they're saying. But before we go in, let's go ahead and jump into the market. And I wanted to go over and first look at what we call the crypto fear index. So let's go ahead and jump over here as we look at it. Because we want to, here's the thing. And if you've been in investments for a while and you got, you understand investments, you understand that we buy in fear and we sell in greed. As we look at the fear greed index, we're at 17. That means there is extreme fear in the market. There is extreme uncertainty. People are just nervous. They're just scared. They're just like, and most of the people that we see this fear, there was a lot of emotions that went into buying when we in the last few months of cryptocurrency. And if you date back on it, a lot of those emotional buys, emotional sales, panic is what got a lot of people in this kind of situation right here. Those of us, who was buying Bitcoin when it was $15,000 and people said that it was over and we weren't gonna, it was kind of dead and it didn't look like we were ever gonna get any kind of regulations, any kind of break within the court system. XRP was in court. It was sitting at 50 cents. We had been holding it for 4 years. There was so much that we had to kind of go through. So now I'm looking at Bitcoin, and even though, and it's crazy to me, and I keep saying this to myself, and I'm gonna go to the overall market here. We're saying it's down at 82, but listen, I was there when it was $15,000, and people were like, "Oh my God, man, this is like real bad." ETH was like at $1,200. They're saying it's down at 2,100. It was down to almost $1,200. Solana was at $9. I'm just giving you some sentiments of what was going on back then. Solana was at $9. Okay. Cardano was one time at 29 cents. You got to look at these things. Everything was down. Like Stellar Luma was in, I kind of remember at 25 cents, but Sui wasn't even around. Like, we didn't even have Sui then. And so a lot of these coins that are down, to me, they're still up. And why? It was because of what my entry point was when I first got into cryptocurrency. I bought Aptos one time. Aptos went to 19. I Aptos down. Avi, when I'm looking at 196, I'm like, man, that is real cheap because I remember Avi was like almost $700. Ondo's down 87. I'm going to give me some more Ondo. Internet computer. I'm out of internet computer. And I'm just now. I want to click this right here. I want to click this one because what I'm going to talk about this coin right here, and this is what I mean. There was a lot of FOMO. People were just, scared that they were going to miss out. If you got in early with the official Trump coin, you made a lot of money. Now, here's the thing. The market cap is $2.6 billion. It depends on what the liquidity is. And I'm going to look at it, but people got into the official Trump coin. They just panicked. Like I got into it, but I got into it at the top. Like it was like 70 some billion dollars. And that's when I jumped in because what it was just a fear of missing out. And of course it's retraced now back down to $2.2 billion. And it sucked a lot of liquidity out of the market. It did. And we can't deny that. But this is what happens when we panic, buy. But now there's a couple of things I want us to look at in the market here. And I'm going to jump over because I want to look at altcoin season because people, they're looking at altcoin season now and it's kind of like, oh man, what's going on here? So let's go ahead and look at altcoin season here. Let me get this back where it was. Okay, when we look at altcoin season, you can see here now 18 out of 100. This is the index right here. Now, a lot of people think altcoin season is dead and that we won't really get an altcoin season. If you look at the market, you see a lot of red here, like XRP down 0.96, XDC down 11 cents. We do have some altcoins that have run. Some of these are like memes, hype, and you do have a little bit of this. My thing is, I think altcoins are going to suffer a little bit more, just to be honest with you, because there are some things that has to take place. And I was listening to Robinhood's CEO yesterday, and he was just talking about it. And let me see if I can pull that video because I want you to see, I want you to listen. And there are some key points in here that we need to take away. And he really made some good pointers here. So I'm going to pull that up here, and I want you to hear what Robinhood's, let's see here, CEO had to say because, let's see on the, I want to get that up here real fast. I want to definitely get that video up for you. And this is it right here. This is this is Rob, and I want you just to listen to this right here because he makes a lot of sense. And here's the thing. I think what we're missing. We wanted big business to come in because here's what this was our anticipation. They're going to have a strategic reserve. They're going to buy lump sums of Bitcoin. President Trump tweeted they're going to have XRP in there. They're going to buy it up. All of us have been holding our bags. Bam, it's getting ready to run. And you know what? We bought them again in fear. And then it sold off. And then so everybody got disappointed. So every time, the last couple of times, people have been disappointed. I think this is going to be one of the biggest shakeouts that you've ever seen. I think I think big business is thinking big business. And like I told you, cryptocurrency is not the same. It's not the same. Like we can't look at this bull run like we saw last year bull run. And that's the problem. A lot of old crypto investors that we saw the bull run in 2021, 2020, we saw when it was running right before COVID hit. We saw every coin, like you could literally like go into a casino and play roulette and just throw your chip on any number and you would hit. Like, bam, it's up. If you bought in the bear market and everything was running, but it's not that kind of crypto. It's not that kind of bull market. It's not that kind of market we're in. This is a different type market. Now we're in a market where it's all about what big businesses want to do. And if we bought at like during the last bear market, we're in great position. But what did a lot of people did? They feared, they sold a big hunk of it. Some people got completely out because of fear. And I'm like, if it goes down, why even worry about it? It already went down, but it's not even down to where we were buying it at. And so, and those of you who are new, if you got at the top, now you're getting in at a low compared to what we saw the last two tops were. We had two tops at 100-some thousand. A lot of people said they were going to get out of cryptocurrency once it hit 100-some thousand. And then what do we get? We got a pro-crypto administration, and then everybody just changed the tune. And a lot of times, you know, when you go with your first gut, sometimes things work out, sometimes things don't. But it's not the time to panic. And Warren Buffett, who is, I think, one of the catalysts when it comes to investment, he always said, I buy in fear. And that's what pioneers, that's where most real millionaires are made. If you go back and just, you read the books of the Warner Brothers, you read various books of people who made the millions, those were the people that saw opportunity amongst chaos. They just saw opportunity amongst chaos. And during that opportunity, that's when they took their chance, and that's when they won. You jump when things are chaotic, but everybody jumps when, they look over and they see everybody jumping. Okay, it's safe now. I'll go ahead and jump in. But leaders, millionaires, billionaires, they are all made while people think they're looking stupid. That's when they're made. And then, first they're laughing at you. Then they're talking about you. Then they want to be with you. And the next thing you know, they're imitating you. And so you got to look at that. But listen to this video right here. Just listen to the video. This right here, if you can pick out the nuggets in this, just listen to what he's saying. Just listen to it. Here we go. Let me go ahead and get that right here.
In order to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve, but cryptocurrencies falling as traders seem disappointed with some of the details. In a post on X, the White House crypto czar, David Sacks, saying the reserve will be funded exclusively with Bitcoin seized in criminal and civil forfeiture cases. He also said no Bitcoin will be sold from the reserve. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had this to say about the reserve just a short time ago right here on Squawk Box.
I am a big proponent of the U.S. taking the worldwide lead in crypto. I think we have to bring it onshore and use our best practices and regulation. I think that the Bitcoin reserve, before you can accumulate it, you have to stop selling it. We're starting with Bitcoin, but it's an overall crypto reserve.
Right. Today, the White House hosting a digital asset summit. Attendees include Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong, Strategy CEO Michael Saylor, Gemini co-founders Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss, and our next guest as well. Joining us right here first on CNBC is Robinhood's co-founder and CEO, Vlad Tenev. Good morning to you. There was a lot of debate about this beforehand from the crypto community, also the tech community, when it was first floated that there would be a Bitcoin reserve. And then just last week, this idea that other coins would be involved and that there was sort of a backlash to some of it. Now there's a different kind of backlash this morning saying maybe they didn't go far enough. What do you think?
This is
Hey, Andrew, good to be here.
Listen to this.
I actually think this is a sensible approach by the administration. I think that, there's a lot of debate. Obviously, there's some people in the industry that maybe wanted more or different assets. But I think this is an approach that isn't terribly controversial. It's a good place to start. And there's a lot of things that we need to get done. I agree with Secretary Bessent that the U.S. needs to be a leader in this new burgeoning industry. And, there's stable coin that needs to be figured out, market structure, prediction markets. So I think as an industry, we have to join together, be united, and keep pushing to make the U.S. number one in this industry.
Vlad, do you believe ultimately that the U.S. government and therefore U.S. taxpayers should be investing in and, let's be honest, levering themselves up to buy additional Bitcoin?
I think that the U.S. Has to make a determination about why it needs various cryptocurrencies and whether it needs them strategically. So I think that having some clarity on what happens in these cases where there's forfeiture or the U.S. Government somehow obtains it, and whether, you know, they're selling it or holding it. That clarity is actually useful to the market, because you've seen in cases like that that the uncertainty causes fear. So I think this is a good place to start. Now, how far it goes, I have sort of less of a strong opinion. I know others. There are other experts at the summit on Bitcoin strategic acquisition and other things.
I have two related questions. One is, this is an executive order, and I wish I'd actually had the opportunity to ask the Treasury Secretary this. Do you consider this an emergency?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think that there's various definitions of what constitutes an emergency. But what's clear is the U.S. and this administration is taking crypto leadership seriously and acting with a great sense of urgency. And I think the summit that they're holding today at the White House is a great example of that. I mean, certainly the administration's moving fast, government's moving fast, but I think rapid change is necessary if we're going to maintain U.S. leadership in what's an increasingly uncertain world.
40, well, 40, to be honest, we unfortunately switched topics at one point.
And then
from that,
I wanted at the very end, you had the last two when they were jumping up and down.
There were a couple other things that I was hoping to.
Hey, Vlad, did you seem? I mean, some people think all companies should have a treasury filled with Bitcoin. Could you ever see that being something that the United States would be, and it would probably be taxpayer money, but if it's going to 1 million, wouldn't that help in a lot of different ways for Treasury to have that reserve?
Well, I think that you get into the general question of, should the U.S. be investing its money? Once you expand beyond Bitcoin into all sorts of other assets, and potentially securities, and many countries have a sovereign wealth.
They buy gold.
Many countries have a sovereign wealth fund, which we're also instituting. So I don't think that's a
not us, but a lot of countries do.
Right. Hey, Vlad, not only are we potentially buying Bitcoin in the future, but these other coins as well. And I'm curious how you think about that. I'm also curious how you think about the fact that so many members of the administration are invested in crypto themselves, and that inherent conflict that I think is very visible to those who want to see it.
Well, from what I've seen, I think that everyone's aware of that concern, and most people that I've talked to have taken steps to actually make sure that they're not conflicted by, you know, selling their exposure or otherwise making sure they're disinterested. I know there's been a lot of conversation about that. I think a lot of people in the administration are joining because they really see an opportunity to help and put their talents in making our country and our government work better. I'm excited to see them. They're moving incredibly fast, but I think it's necessary.
All right. So, and of course, that was another article.
We empowered
that right there. But when you look at it all together and you just start looking and understanding, man, they can't just lump all these cryptocurrencies just in one and just think it's going to work like that. And I know a lot of people in crypto, a lot of people that's new to crypto that just came in, and you probably bought because you saw everything on the news. It was going to 100-some thousand. You saw where everybody on YouTube and their mama was saying, you know, this is it. This is the bull run we've all waited for. And of course, we all were talking about it's going to 100,000 because everybody in crypto, for the past couple of years before that, when everybody was saying it's going to 100,000, people were calling them crazy, you're ludicrous. There's no way this is going to happen. So it was kind of a moment where you saw YouTube kind of go through, I told you so. You know, everybody was like, I told you so. I told you should have got in. See, you missed it now. And then everybody was panicking. And so not only were they panicking, but they were seeing the wallets of people who were telling them about that. Like, look at my wallet now. Look at what I got in here now. I got like 100-some thousand. I got like, 90-some thousand. Now what do people do? They feel like they're getting ready to miss out. So we saw a lot of that. So now we've had a pullback. Now, if you got in early, you're really not panicking because you're kind of saying, hey, this is a part of crypto. But if you bought crypto at 100-some thousand, I mean, you're down. If you bought altcoins when XRP was at $3 and now it's $217, if you bought Solana when it was around $290-some and now it's $123, you're down. You're down a lot. And so now it's not the time to sell. You're just going through what some of us experienced on the back end of the last bull run. Like I went through that. I know what you're talking about. I know when Illuvium was $1,200 and I was trying to get some and now it was sitting at dang on like $30. I understand that. And so so these prices to me are still kind of high. Like I'm like, hey, it's cool, man. I'm not, but here's what I get from it. He basically is telling us that we're going to have a strategic reserve. You heard earlier they talked about we want to be the forefront. And when they say panic, you got to understand what the panic is. I got it going on the bottom so you can see it. But the office of the, with the currency, they said in a statement that national banks are permitted to engage in some crypto activities, such as crypto asset custody and some stable coins. And also, if you don't know, the Japanese lawmakers are pushing to lower the crypto tax rate from 55% to 20%. They were at 55%. And introduce a new regulatory framework for digital assets. So the push is that other countries are trying to accumulate Bitcoin on top of what the U.S. has just done with a strategic reserve. So that's the push. That's the hurry. It's not a hurry to get all these other coins into the strategic reserve. I mean, to be honest with you, but banks are going to start looking at, like the banks have gold, banks have Bitcoin to store as a backing. But when you talk about the central banks and you talk about inflation, is it a hedge against the dollar? Because, we talk about gold, but has anyone seen the gold that they say is backing the dollar? But they also have a statement on there, in God we trust. So you got to understand that there's so many different aspects of this thing that you got to look at it. So in this particular time, I was so far up on my crypto, I just thought it was ludicrous just to sit there and just hold it and miss some of those gains. So, even asking AI something, it was like, 20 to 30%. If you're up some of them, I was up over like 3,000%. And so for me, I took some gains. So now, I'm sitting in a position where, if it comes down, I'm cool with it because I want to buy more. But if you haven't, this is just a part of cryptocurrency, man. And you can't be an emotional, like if you're emotional, the reason you're emotional is because you're putting in money that you can't afford to put in. You're putting in your life savings, you're putting in bill money, you're putting in rent money, you're putting in house, car payments, you're putting that kind of money in, you're gambling. And now it goes down, you're panicking because now you have to find ends to get that money back. You can't invest like that. You need to start just like I started about 5 years ago, $20 here, $30 here. I didn't get the bank I got to now overnight. This was years of continuously investing through a bear market when everything was down, when I didn't even know it was going to even bounce back. I bought Bitcoin at 15 when people saying, honestly, because I was new to it, I thought it was kind of dead. Like I was like, man, they in court. I've been buying this XRP for the last 3 years and it's nothing breaking. And then when the court case was over, nothing happened. I was like, man, but then when it ran up to like $3, I was like, yo, I'm up. I'm still up. I'm still up in XRP. So you got to understand that investing is not for the weary. And the problem is you're putting in too much money. So let me give you something to think about. Okay. For you people that are new in cryptocurrency, and I'm talking to the newbies right now. If you're new in cryptocurrency and you're looking at like the vets of crypto is telling you about, man, forget that. Don't listen. It's not like that anymore. It's not. This is the thought process now is we have big business. We got people that buy like 1,000, 2,000 Bitcoin at one time. There are not many people who are buying 2,000 Bitcoins at one time. They may be buying like $10,000 worth or 20,000, or some of them may be buying $100 worth or $200 worth. For some of you, $50. Like I had people that put in $50 and then they put in $50 and they're like, oh man, I'm gonna have a million. It doesn't work like that. The stock market doesn't work like that. Let me give you some advice. And this is for informational purposes only, but I'm telling you just what I did. This is my golden rule. Whatever money, if this amount fell out, so I always ask myself the question, if this amount fell out my pocket and I wouldn't worry about it, that's how much I need to start with. So in other words, if your tolerance level is only if you lost $5 and you didn't worry about that, that's your tolerance level right now. That's what you can afford to. If you can walk down the street and you lost $100 and you really didn't like, I lost it, dang, but I'm cool. Then that's what your tolerance level is. The second part of that, when you get into it, is when you invest it, you gotta think about some things like there was some sacrifice on my behalf. Like, what was my sacrifice? Here's some of my sacrifice. Instead of going out to eat, I would just take that money. Every time I thought about something I was about to spend some money on, I would invest it. Like I would walk in the store and say, man, I'm about to buy those shoes right there. I was like, nah, I would invest it. Every time I thought about going to the car dealership and buying a car, I thought about what a car payment was, I would invest it. So anything that I thought that was extra, if I could think that means that money could be investment money. Then the second thing, you got to get away from these people, man, who are always asking you for money, because they're going to drain you dry. You're never going to have money to invest. If you gotta help like, I don't mind helping people, but if you're helping people 8, 9, 10 times, they need to get a job, or they need to look at their financial living. You got to go into, when you first begin, you got, and you're like, let's say you're over 35, 40, okay? And you're just now new to investment. You got to go in overdrive mode. Now, if you're in your 20s, if you're in your 18, man, you can invest a little different. You can invest a little more riskier. But if you're like, over 35 in the 40s, man, you got to go in overdrive, meager mode, especially if you ain't there. And so when you go in that kind of mode, what happens is you be able to stockpile. You start being able to see where funds, can go. Now, it's like I'm in a pretty good position with my regular crypto. Like I'm good. It's not where it was when I saw the 100,000 and I should have took a lot more out. But what I did do is I realized I was up, and you can't be one of these investors who fear. And I did it I made a little video on my TikTok, and I like to have a little fun on my TikTok, but I said, this is how crypto people get wrecked. You can never guess the top and you can never guess the bottom. You'll lose every time. If you're trying to wait for the very top, you're going to lose every time. Don't be greedy. Don't be greedy. Remember from what you came from, so you'll understand where you're at. Okay? It's the problem is when we get greedy. You get greedy and you start saying, man, I want more, I want more, I want more. And then you have nothing. Or you never jump. You never jump. Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy, but I'm gonna wait. Then boom, you wake up, it doesn't run up. So what you got to do is you got to DCA and go and trust your gut. Like here's what I've been studying these prices for over 4 or 5 years. So I've seen them at an all-time low, and I've seen them at their all-time highs now. I've gone through those cycles. So I have my risk tolerance is a lot different. They got bots with stop losses. So you can put a stop here, a start here, and a stop losses. So when it wants to get this certain price, if it gets this low, then I want to go ahead and buy. You understand? If it gets to a certain point, a certain height, I want to sell a little bit. So, you can adjust that. And if you haven't done it, that's options and all those things. That's a little different. But to get started, you got to get off the porch. You got to jump in. You can't be on the sideline and think you're going to win in the game. You got to be in the game. You got to be. And so I'm in the game. Like Solana, I just look at it a great time to accumulate Solana. You know, inside part of me wants it to drop a little bit lower because I'm in a great position with Solana. Bitcoin, you know, it's going to be a strategic reserve, but they have to come up with ways on how they're going to accumulate more Bitcoin. So those things. So again, don't panic. Just remember, for those of you who are new, here's a great thing to live by. And this is for your informational purposes only. When it comes to investment, you know, a lot of people come to YouTube for, I guess sometimes in the panic, a quietness in the storm. They come for information and things like that. We sort information. We're informational generation now. But nothing beats doing your own research. Like, I can give you ideas of what I'm doing. That's why, but we're not financial advisors. Nobody on YouTube is financial advisors. If they do, they will tell you that. That's why we say we're not financial advisors. This is for informational purposes only. Basically, we're giving you what we've done. We're giving you what our research was. So once you get something, it's a biblical principle that once you get some information, it should be tried by fire. Like, just see if it works, you know, try it, inspect it, do your own research on it. And then after you do your own research on it, you make an educational guess. Then you make your decision. And then once you make your decision, you hold yourself to that responsibility and accountability on the decision you make. A lot of people do that, make a decision, and then say, you know, I did this because I always ask, did you research it? Did you like really investigate everything that was said? Like for me, I'm buying Ondo. Why am I buying Ondo? Because it's real world assets. Now you have to go back and look and make sure you understand what real world assets are, like commodities, real estate, bonds, treasures, stocks, luxury goods. Those are real world assets that they can onboard on the blockchain. That's why I like it. The next reason why I like Ondo, research this. World Liberty Finance, which is a part of Donald Trump's company, LLC. Remember that, Limited Liability Corporation. They are, you know, they own some Ondo. They bought 340,000 Ondo, which is equivalent to $245,000. That's why I bought Ondo. And so that's why I'm buying it. It's at 86 cents now. So for me, that's a pretty good bargain when the all-time high was like $2. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm spitting this stuff out because I researched this stuff, and you have to do the same. So get in the group, find somebody that you're comfortable with. All YouTube crypto groups are just people who you feel comfortable with when you get information. And then after you get the information, go ahead and make your educated guess. But when you jump from tube to tube to tube to tube to tube to tube to tube, what's going to happen is you're going to get confused. And everybody's going to be telling you to buy. And you're going to be doing like I did in the first time. You're going to have 1,000 coins. And you're going to be stretched out all over the place because you're going to be trying to buy everything because you're not going to know what's going to run. Get yourself focused. Relax in the storm. Make educated decisions. Do your research. That's just sound thinking from my perspective. And then let's go ahead and let's make these millions. Okay. Again, I want to thank y'all for joining me today. Big business is here, man. This is what we asked for. Crypto regulations. This is what we asked for. Clarity. This is what we asked for. But we got to go through the storm because we got to get it established. It's not going to happen overnight, people. All right. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. If this video has been helpful to you, go ahead and smash that like button, man. Quit being stingy on the likes, man. All it is just a click of the finger, man. If you're getting something out of it, then go ahead and pay me with a like, man. That's your contribution to the community. And if you want to like more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, man, this is Chris from Crypto Secret X. I am out.